Thanks for being here. So today I wanted to talk about how I got prepared for marriage. I do know that at the end of the day, there are still a lot of women out there who want to be married, desire to be married, have interest to be married, and simply don't know how to do it. So today I just want to share my journey in the different ways that I prepared for marriage, prepared to find the one, and truthfully how I am still preparing. Number one was I actually decided I wanted to be married. Now, I know this may sound obvious, but truth be told, some of us go throughout life with this idea that we're just gonna kind of just walk around randomly and just not be engaged in dating and mating and not put any effort forward. And then this perfect man is just going to show up on our doorstep with flowers, a ring, 6-pack, 6 figures, 6 feet, all the above. And that's just not necessarily real life. I mean, that may have happened back in the 30s or 40s when gender roles were still very clear and chivalry was a thing and men felt comfortable pursuing women. But in today's marketplace, you have to be a little bit more aware and you have to be a little bit more open and focused on being married, in my opinion. I'm not saying that you have to go and be obsessive about it and you have to try to force it. No, but I'm just saying that we want to get out of this idea that we don't have to do anything and it's just naturally going to happen, like kind of what we would see on Disney movies. It's like, no, you can do your part and be actively engaged in the relationship market if you want to be married. The second thing I did to prepare for marriage was develop a healthy relationship with God. I personally take the opinion that it is impossible for a woman to be able to submit and be a good wife if she could not first submit to her God. I wanted a covenant marriage, which was a marriage between man, woman, and God, the one that was outlined in the Bible. And so for me, that really took a emphasis on developing that relationship, understanding my responsibilities, not only as a woman to God, but ultimately my responsibilities when I would be in covenant with a man and what those roles would be, and understanding my purpose and understanding my identity. And those are things that you can continue to grow in, and I'm still continuing to grow in. But for me, that was foundational because without that spiritual foundation and without that reverence for a higher power, then as soon as my husband does something I don't like, or as soon as he doesn't live up to my expectations, I could be quick to want to try to leave him or try to come to excuse as to why he's not doing things good enough. But because I have that reverence for God and I recognize that ultimately if I'm honoring him and I'm learning to treat him right, treat my husband right, then I am also honoring God's creation. And so this is, for me, was super important. For example, in Ephesians, where it talks about men loving their husbands as Christ loved the church, and then telling the wife to respect and honor her husband, that's the kind of relationship that I wanted. And that's the kind of marriage that I wanted to model. So again, for me, this was very important, a very important and crucial step in getting prepared for marriage. And then third, a part of me developing a healthy relationship with God is also continuing to develop a healthy relationship with myself. Now, hopefully these are things that you do as you grow up, as you're exploring, as you're developing as a woman. But sometimes people don't always grow up in households that allow them or give them the freedom to try certain things. And so whether you develop that when you were younger or you find yourself stepping into your adult life, still trying to learn a little bit more about yourself, it's still really important to have a solid sense of who you are, or at least a basic understanding of your principles, values, what are important. For example, if you know that you're a person that is vegan and you only want to live a plant-based life and you want to live off the grid, then you probably don't want to marry somebody who is a carnivore and wants to live in the big city and wants to live around loud noises. Like, that could be a conflict of interest. And so it is important to understand those things about yourself that are non-negotiables, and then also understand those things about yourself that you're willing to compromise on. And then number 4 is get around good influences. If you really want to be married, don't be getting around women who are constantly telling you how happy they are single, how they don't need a man, how men are trash, how men are this. Don't do that. Lose your single friends, okay? Get around women who can put you up on game on how to be a wife, on how to be marriage material, on what to do, or just around women who are into that, aren't trying to steer you in the wrong direction, are not trying to give you reasons as to why you need to be happy single. No, you don't want to be around that. You want to be around good influences. When I was single, I started hanging around married women. I was hanging around housewives. I was hanging around people who'd been married for some time, asking them questions, just gleaning from them, learning about about different styles of different families, because, you know, even if you did grow up in a two-parent household like I did, it's also good to understand and see how other families operate, because you might be able to glean from that. So I think it's really important to just make sure that your influences are in alignment with your goals. The single woman that I was hanging around also wanted to be married. It got to the point where we started having a prayer group, y'all. We got together every single week and we started praying for our future husbands. Like, Lord, send us our husbands. Like, real talk. We did that probably for a good year. And then lo and behold, like, they all came within a year. So I'm not saying it's a formula, but I'm just saying, like, when I got to the point where I was very focused, my influences reflected that. The reason that they say single women keep women single. So just be mindful of that. The fifth thing I did was smile. Now, I know this may sound obvious, but unfortunately, African American ladies, we do not have the reputation of being the most kind. And what I found out about myself, moment of truth, was that I had a previous relationship that went south. It was a guy at a church that I was dating who went away for a month, came back married, and that had me feeling salty. And so for some time, when I was going throughout different spaces and I was meeting different people, like, I was very shut down. I was just had this very stoic face, like, do not pass go, do not collect $200, like, don't approach me. And honestly, I didn't even know it. And I remember I'd be so mad, like, I'd go in different spaces, like, trying to look cute, and then I wouldn't get any attention, and I didn't understand it. And then I remember it was one friend who came up to me one day and was just like, why do you look so mean? Like, she literally saw me at the gym and she was like, why do you look so mean? And I recognized in that moment that I wasn't smiling. Like, I didn't have a pleasant face. If I saw guys that I was attracted to, if I saw people that I thought were of interest, I would shut down and I would immediately go into this, like, stoic position. And that was actually harming me. So ladies, all I'm trying to say is just smile, just be nice, be open. I'm not saying you have to try to be disrespectful. I'm not saying that you have to try to be desperate, but just something about being open, just something about having a pleasant aura about you, I think can make a big difference. And again, going back to what I said about relationship with God, ladies, something about being in God's presence is very sweet, and it is very comforting, and it is very beautifying. And so sometimes, again, that relationship with God can really make you seem beautiful. People can sense that spirit about you and can also be drawn to it. And so that can be a key point for sure. Just smile. You know what I mean? Just be open. Just don't have that resting bee face as some of us Black women are known to have. And that may actually open up a lot more doors than you would have ever considered. And then I think it's also important to be open. There are some people out there that have these really hard to find rules about how they're going to meet somebody. Like, they're not going to meet somebody online, or they're not going to meet somebody on a dating app, or they're never going to meet somebody. Like, they'll have all these rules, and sometimes those rules can be the very thing that actually impedes them from meeting somebody. So I'm not saying you have to lower your standards. I'm just saying be open to the way that people meet online now. More and more people are meeting online. More people are meeting online and actually getting married. It is just the rules of today. And so there's nothing wrong with being open to evolving with the times and evolving with the different trends. And, you know, it's great to meet somebody in person. It's great to meet somebody through a friend. I met my husband through a friend. But also, if that's not your story, if you end up meeting somebody online, or you need to do a dating app, that doesn't make it any less valid or any less beautiful. So I think just being open is really, really important to how it may come, because especially if you're asking for something specific. I had a friend tell me to ask God to arrange my marriage literally, and I feel like that's what happened. Like, it just kind of, friend introduced us, and then it was like the rest of history. But if you're wanting that covenant marriage, and if you're wanting to be with the person that you believe is God's pick, you want to be open to to how that may look, because it may look a lot different than what you have planned in your mind, and that's okay. And then I would say number 7 was actually listen to godly counsel. There are people in my life that I trusted, older people, mentors, pastors, people that I actually trusted, who knew me, who knew my strengths and weaknesses. And so as I was dating and I was, getting engaged with my husband, we both had trusted sources, trusted people that we had already pre-vetted and we agreed upon beforehand that kind of helped guide us through the process. And so I think that can be invaluable. That can be really important, especially if you're embarking on something new and you have different questions and you want to try to do it the right way and not screw each other up. And so I think having healthy godly counsel can be really good. But again, you want to make sure it's something that you and your husband or perhaps your fiance or whatever, agree upon beforehand. And I would not recommend sharing all of your business to family, friends, none of that. When I'm talking about godly counsel, I mean maybe a pastor or someone that you guys both are agreement with, right? Not you as a woman going and talking to your pastor and he don't know about it, not that, but I'm saying somebody that you guys both agree upon, or maybe like an older couple, something like that. But don't be going around calling your mom, or calling your aunt, or calling your sister, telling all your business. Like that could really create chaos. So you want to have strong boundaries there. But at the same time, hopefully by the time you will have met this person, you will have had people in your life that you can trust, who have a proven track record of success in their own life and success in their own marital life, that they'll be able to give you good advice on how to navigate. Those are the different ways that I prepared myself for marriage. I by no means am saying that this is a comprehensive guide. This is just what worked for me. So hopefully you were able to glean something from this and eat the meat, spit out the bones. But at the end of the day, I think marriage is a beautiful thing. It is something amazing. But at the end of the day, I think covenant marriage is a beautiful thing. Now, I know there's a lot of negativity going on out there right now, and there is a lot of fear mongering and a lot of negativity when it comes to marriage, especially in the West, and especially regarding the different challenges that people experience in family court, divorce court, all of that stuff. And so that's why for me, when I see marriage and I'm talking about covenant marriage, I'm really talking about, if you already have a strong spiritual conviction and you see this as a spiritual covenant, as a religious covenant between you, your husband, and then your God, then to me that takes on a totally different context, right? Man, wife in Christ is a lot different than a business contract, which is what we have essentially seen a lot of times in the West. So again, I hope my things make sense to you. A lot of my advice is more reflective of those who do believe in the idea of covenant marriage that is expounded upon in the Bible. So I hope you glean something from it. And those are my thoughts. Anyways, let me know what you think. Leave your questions, comments, concerns in the comment section below. Thank you so much for listening. If you've gotten this far, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and we'll talk later. Bye.